ChatGPT, I got a question for you. Do all of these DACs sound the same?
Not at all. The Venus, Pontus, and Holo May each have their own unique sonic fingerprint, and the Venus 15 really stood out with detail and space that's hard to miss.
And with a warm welcome back to New Record Day. Welcome back to New Record Day. My name is Ron. If you consider yourself an audiophile or a music enthusiast, welcome home. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you know when the next video drops. So in today's video, we're going to be taking the Denafrips Venus 15 for a spin, and yes, this does indeed serve as your official ethics statement. Denafrips sent me this DAC free of charge to review. With that being said, they're not paying me, they haven't asked for anything in return, and as always, they are watching this video for the very first time just as you are. In other words, all of my thoughts and opinions are my own, and that's that. The Venus 15th Anniversary Edition sits right in the middle of the Denafrips lineup. It's above the Pontus and just below the Terminator, but don't let that fool you. Based on what I have heard, I don't think of this as a middle-of-the-road product. To me, it sounds different from the Pontus, and I would imagine a sweet spot for someone who wants the warmth of the Pontus, but just a little more fireworks tossed into the mix at the exact same time. That is to say, you're not just getting more of the same thing and paying more for it, you're getting a different presentation entirely, and we'll get into that in just a bit. As for first impressions and build quality, just like the Pontus 15 that we reviewed, this thing is built like a tank. The casework is dense and well damped, with clean lines and brushed aluminum that looks just as serious as it sounds. It's understated but undeniably high-end once you're standing in front of it. The front panel has a row of small, tight tolerance buttons that handle input selection over sampling, mute, phase inversion, and I2S mode switching. No remote, no touchscreen, no apps, and honestly, I kind of like that about it. It's a sit down, shut your mouth, and just listen kind of DAC. You've got everything that you would expect around the back: USB, coaxial, optical, AES, and two I2S inputs. Output is fully balanced with both XLR and RCA, and the internal layout is dual mono discrete and fully differential from start to finish. Denafrips has also upgraded the clocks and power supply isolation in this 15th anniversary edition. They're clearly pushing the Venus into more of an exacting territory, and you know what? It shows. Essentially, this isn't a jack-of-all-trades DAC, no sir. It's not trying to be a preamp or a streamer or a control hub. It is one box, one job to code the music and get the heck out of the way. The moment I dropped the Venus into my system, it was obvious I wasn't just hearing a cleaner version of the Pontus 15. That is to say, this wasn't about polishing the same presentation. This was a shift in clarity, focus, and how information was being delivered. Making my way through my audiophile playlist on Qobuz, the first thing that stood out was precision. With the Venus, there is a sharpness, no, not in tone, but in timing. Notes just don't appear, they arrive with a better sense of contour and presence. It's like everything locks in just a little bit tighter. Drums have more attack and definition, and strings have a faster decay. And I found it much easier to hear subtle details that are often hidden in the recording. Now, that's not to say the Venus 15 is analytical or cold sounding, because it's not. This DAC still carries the Denafrips house sound. There's a warmth in the mid-bass and mid-range, a grounded organic quality to vocals and acoustic instruments, but with the Venus 15, the house sound has been tidied up a bit. So yeah, if you've heard the Pontus 15, you will recognize some of the same DNA. That rich, cohesive midband, the smooth treble, the sense of ease, but the Venus feels like the curtain's been pulled back a little bit further. Vocals offer a little bit more texture, and I heard some more shimmer and space around instruments. And if that's not enough, The low end tightens up as well, not in a way that subtracts weight, but in how it defines the leading edge of bass notes. You're getting shape and punch instead of just bloom. Now look, I want to be clear here. This isn't night and day kind of differences, but if you know your system, if you know your room, you will hear it, and once you do, well, it's hard to go back. Now, if we zoom out just a bit, when I compare the Venus to something like the Holo May DAC, which I've used as a reference point for quite a while now, I would say that the May still has the edge when it comes to ultimate transparency and resolution. The May doesn't lean warm or cool, it just steps out of the way completely. Because of this, it's been a very useful DAC as a reference, and it's the main reason why it hasn't been overthrown by any contenders so far. However, for you guys, something like the Venus or even the Pontus might be a better fit depending on the sound that you are chasing and what kind of an audiophile dragon that you want to ride. Breaking it down, where the Pontus feels laid back, almost romantic at times, the May feels like an open window that you forgot was even there. The Venus, however, lands in a very compelling middle ground. It's revealing without being aggressive, it's musical without smoothing over the details, and most importantly, it doesn't get in the way. Now that I think about it, I found myself re-listening to tracks that I've used in demos over the years and picking up subtle shifts in space and texture that I hadn't noticed with the Pontus 15. Not because the Venus was exaggerating them, but because it was finally letting them through. That is a good sign of a good DAC, when it doesn't steal the show, but it elevates it. All right, ChatGPT, why don't you tell these fine folks what you analyzed in the sound clips?
Well, maybe it's just confirmation bias creeping in, but here's what I heard. The Pontus felt the most romantic and easygoing. The Venus 15 landed right in the middle, and the Holo May pulled out the most resolution. 3 DACs, 3 very different personalities.
I mean, you heard it from ChatGPT, and she doesn't tell lies. She doesn't know how to tell lies, so I would say headphones on. Give it a listen for yourself, and let's see what you think.
Engineer, where are you headed? Engineer, where are you headed? Engineer, where are you headed?
No hubiera pensado que yo me iba a enamorar, jamás no quería saber nada más, nunca más. No hubiera pensado que yo me iba a enamorar, jamás no quería saber nada más, nunca más. No hubiera pensado que yo me iba a enamorar, jamás no quería saber nada más, nunca más.
After spending real time with the Venus 15, here is what I'm going to tell you. This DAC isn't just a refinement of the Pontus 15. It is indeed a different experience. And if you're trying to figure out whether the jump is worth it, it really comes down to what kind of a listener you are and what your system's already doing really well. The Pontus 15 is still one of the most musically satisfying DACs in its class. It has a relaxed, rich quality that makes even average recording sound engaging. It leans warm and it leans a little bit soft on the edges, but for a lot of people, that's exactly what makes it so enjoyable. It's the DAC that lets you settle in and stop worrying about the gear. But if you've lived with the Pontus 15 or something that sounds like the Pontus 15 and you're starting to feel like you're leaving a little resolution on the table, if you want to hear deeper into the recordings, if you're curious about what your system is really capable of when the source gets out of the way, well, the Venus 15 delivers exactly that. That's right, folks. The Venus 15 brings more clarity, more grip, and better transient focus without giving up the natural tone and flow that makes Denafrips gear so dang listenable. It doesn't cross into the line of sterile or analytical either. It just tightens everything up, sharpens the picture, and lets more of the recording through. And with that, I will see you Denafrips loving audiophiles in the next video.